Unbelievably, it's been a week since I met with Din Ghani, a lutenist who I rehearse with for potential concerts, and we have got a concert coming up on Friday the 6th of April in Bath, and we met just a week ago today at his house to have a real rehearsal through all the programme. And of course what tends to happen when you do things like that is that it pulls into question some of the choices of the programme. And when I left and said goodbye after a nice wonderful time there rehearsing these lovely lute songs, Din said he'd look at the programme and get back to me, which he did do very speedily, and it's been sitting in my inbox. But today is Wednesday and today is the day for getting down to it. So he's put down his thoughts about changing the running order of the programme. This often happens, so what I've got to do in a minute is go through my music folder and just reorganise all the music according to the running order that he's suggesting. And I've had a quick look through it and I can see he's made some excellent changes. And I love his last comment, which was he's taken out a particular song that's called Oh Grief, and he said, I felt that Oh Grief was going to be just too much grieving. And this was one of the sort of threads of our conversation, was that whilst all the songs are lovely, there was an awful lot of lamenting and grieving going on. So we've taken a new view, and I see also that we are starting with a song by Campion, which is called Now Hath Flora. Now, from a singing point of view, that's a nice easy in to the programme. When we did a concert last year in June, we started the whole programme with two songs, or I think it was just two songs by John Daniel. Now, lute song repertoire is fairly new to me. It's not really a genre I've got into typically in my singing career, so it's all fairly new. And I was following Din's lead on that, and actually when we got to the concert and started off, we realised actually that we had thrown ourselves into the deep end, literally, with a fairly complex couple of songs. Daniel, don't get me wrong, is lovely music to sing, but it's just a little notch above. It's slightly more complicated, the composition and how the lute and the voice weave with each other, and so you need to have your wits about you, or at least it has to not be the very first thing that you do. Anyway, I see that he has now moved it, and it's a good, let me see, yeah, I will have done three songs, and he will have done a couple of solos on the lute as well, which means that by the time we get to Eyes Look No More and Like as the Lute by John Daniel, we will both feel very sung in and played in accordingly. And I think that's really interesting from the performer's point of view, is that when you set a programme, it's got to be a movable feast. Sometimes things don't quite work out as you think. So what I'm going to do now is just click the link to some of the recordings that Din made whilst we were working together, because what we do there, and it's a really worthwhile thing to do because you can't always remember, and when you're working with a fellow musician at a distance and you can't have the luxury of, you know, rehearsing together an awful lot before a performance, of course you're going to rely on a recording to set speeds or just to remind each other of specifics that we've talked about. So what I need to do are two or three things. Number one, I need to completely digest what he's saying. Number two, I need to reorder my music to represent what I think is a really well thought out programme. And number three, I need to start listening in some of those recordings and marking my music. So I'm going to do that in just a minute. I want to just find a little clip to see if I even like what I hear, because often a rehearsal in a very confined space doesn't give the great vocal feedback that you would perhaps like as a singer. So I'm going to have a little sneaky listen, and then I'm going to start filming again, and if I feel like it, I might share it. Hold that space. Okay, so I have just done the three things that I said I was going to do. I'm very happy with the programme that Din is suggesting, and looking at it, it gives me, with his extra instrumental things that he's putting into the programme, it gives me a little bit of a rest, though I can't be said for poor Din, but Anyway, the program will be one of those programs at the Museum of Bath Architecture on Friday the 6th of April at 6:30, and it's one of those programs that there's going to be no break in. So we're going to perform for about an hour. It'll all be done by 7:30. Those are the kind of concerts I really like, because then you have the whole evening to relax and enjoy the aftermath of having put yourself up there to do a performance. So I've done the 3 things that I said I was going to do. I like the program. I've made the adjustments to my folder, and this is the song "Oh Grief" that is going to no longer be in the program. And I must say, reminding myself of the song, it's not that I don't like it. I think maybe we hit the nail on the head, and actually we felt it was just a bit too much of the same kind of sentiment. So what I have found, and I will share a little bit of, is one of the Daniel songs. One that I prefer is called Like as the Lute, and it's a little bit technically tricky, especially for Din, I think, fitting in lots of little extra fiddly notes, and it kind of sits in a fairly low part of the voice. Anyway, I'm going to kind of share a bit of it. I might kind of leap about, because I know in the recording on the screen I can jump to a bit where there was a little fiddly bit that I had to practice before we rehearsed, and I was a bit worried about getting all those little fast notes into the bit of the accompaniment. Now, bearing in mind that prior to this we'd only really met for an initial sort of gathering of ideas, and that was last year before I went to Washington. We sort of gathered a whole list of ideas, well, more Din actually, because he's more of the kind of lute song expert than myself, so I'm happy to be led. And we went through a whole bunch of songs that I was listening to them and thinking, well, which ones really appeal and which ones don't appeal. So I would kind of listen and sing along and do a bit of sight reading and think, yeah, that song's quite interesting. And from those songs we then sifted through, and we met, I think this is now, the last week was only the second rehearsal, so the recording you're about to hear is only the second time we've actually gone through the songs. That's quite amazing, isn't it? And next week, when we get together for a pre-concert rehearsal, that will be the 3rd time. But pretty much that's quite usual, you know. And anyway, we shall see what you think when you listen to this. This is Like as the Lute by John Daniel. I won't play it all because it's 4 minutes 24 seconds, but see what you think. I like this bit. It's nice to sing. Okay, so I'm not quite sure if this is coming across, and I'll have to check this through when I go through the video, but I'm just going to jump now to the little twiddly bit that I was mentioning in the music, and I don't know if I can find it easily, but you come to a little bit in the music where you can just see down here you're singing there, and suddenly you've got to fit in all those notes there into not very much going on in the lute. And so, yeah, I've rehearsed that on my own, and I just wanted to see, I want to hear how it sounds. It's good fun. I mean, music is such good fun. Singing is just great. It makes you feel fantastic. So let me see. I think it was about there. Let's see. Yes, here it comes. Bingo. So yeah, that's good. Here it comes again. Okay, so that's obviously in my brain, and I'll just turn it down now, because I mean, it's a lovely song, and we're about just over halfway through the song. Just let me pause it. So I feel quite encouraged by that. The songs are, I have a real favourite, which I might just play a little bit of that as well. As I say, I haven't done a lot of lute song singing at all, and really only came into it because of my sort of semi-tenuous link, I suppose, with Dame Emma Kirkby, because I sang for her in a masterclass at a summer school, and she asked me, had I not ever thought of doing lute song repertoire because of the sound of my voice. And I guess that's true. Many years ago, when I sang with the English Sinfonia Chorale in Nottingham, there was a particular tenor whose name escapes me, but I think his name was Alan, and he used to say I was Emma Kirkby sound-alike. Now, I don't think that's really quite true. But anyway, thanks to Emma, she got me into the lute song repertoire, and it has been a really lovely journey, and certainly a very soft and gentle way back for me after a bit of a break in a very difficult life situation. I could very easily have drowned and probably never returned to singing again had it not been for the very gentle way in that these songs, the path that they led me. So I'm kind of feel very affectionate about lute songs. They're not tricky as such, but I am so enjoying the fact that you are a partnership with the lute player. I know that an accompanist sitting at the piano also is your partner, but they very much follow what you are doing. Whereas when you are singing with a lute player, you are a partnership, and to a certain degree I have to be. One of the real benefits of the rehearsal was learning where I had to just be mindful of what he was having to do and how much music and fiddly bits he had to fit in to perhaps my slightly easier phrases. Anyway, let me see if I can find No More Shall Meads. Okay, this is this is a lovely song, but it's quite stripped back because it's based on a ground. So the lute is playing something quite straightforward and simple, and my melody kind of weaves its way over the top. And certainly it's one of those songs that really needs me to go through it before the performance with a fine tooth comb and add in a little bit of, a little bit more colour and interest into the vocal line, which I will do, but this rehearsal was just like a kind of straight run through, and I was putting in a few little notes, but not being particularly bold because I was just feeling my way. But I wanted to give it as an example of the reason why I quite like it. From a singing point of view, I suppose it could be said that some lute songs always sit in a very safe part of your voice. And as a soprano with a good bottom part of my range, so I've got nice warm tones down there, to go up the other way is also really important. And for singers generally, it's great not to get too stuck in your comfort zone. So whilst they're useful, it's nice when you find a song that has a bit of both. So it sits in a slightly more soprano-y part of my voice, and then towards the end, as you'll hear, I'll try and jump about a little bit because this song too is about 3.5 minutes long, and you don't want to be sitting there listening to all of this. But this towards the end, you certainly have to be aware as a singer that you're going to have to access some of your upper notes and not make them sound too different and alien from all the other comfy notes. Okay, so here we are about halfway through the song, and as you can hear, it's going to be really very simple. If it gets a bit sort of boring, I might skip on and move my mouse and the cursor, so we might suddenly jump in the music. But here we go. This is No More Shall Meads by Nicholas Lanier. Changing gear slightly. You can tell he's going to go up. And then he goes down. There we are. Last phrase. Okay, so I mean, that's very basic, and the reason then that kind of gives an insight into why I find that song quite interesting to sing. I haven't put all my little embellishments and extra little notes in yet, but that's what I'll be working on over the next week, so that when I next see Din, I won't change the tempo, the speed of the song, but I'll be putting some extra little florid notes in to make it more interesting. But from a singer's point of view, the song is really great because you have to access this lovely warm part of your voice, but also, I mean, that top note there was a top G, and then the lowest note I sang there was a B. So, you know, that's a fair old way to have to sing comfortably and make your voice match top to bottom. Okay, so what was this vlog about? This vlog was really about a little sneak preview into how we go about putting a concert program together. So we've gone from a long list of songs at the back of here, which is like 2 or 3 pages long, sifting through them, finding recordings, finding things that you are interesting to you. And then we kind of fine-tune it into a program where we sift through songs and putting them into some kind of order, and even then, you know, change our minds because we think that actually that one song, Oh Grief, was just not going to suit the balance of the program. And now that I've seen Din's suggestions for the program on the 6th, I feel really happy, and I've got my trusty folder all organised with the music in place, and we finished the concert with some wonderful Purcell. And Purcell is something that I feel that's coming more into my own territory of classical song, things that I already know. And the thing we're going to put in towards the end of the programme is the very well known Music for a While. So that's one I feel very comfortable with. Okay, over and out for today because I've got some work to do. Okay, until next time, happy singing!